Big budget Hollywood World War II movies aren't as common as they used to be. Just like VHS, Ed Hardy shirts, and people who drink water from a tap. New to this war movie genre was acclaimed director Christopher Nolan, and he had made some of the most innovative and exciting films of the last 2 decades. And Dunkirk. Dunkirk is based on a historical event that took place during the first year of the Second World War. Unless you're American, in which case it took place the year before the war started as a sort of prequel which didn't have the main characters in it. In 1940, British and French forces in Europe were beaten back to the French coast and awaited evacuation on the beaches of Dunkirk in France. A large number of soldiers were rescued by a massive flotilla of small civilian boats from England. It became a legendary moment and some say a turning point in the war.
Wrap it up, guys, they've got yachts!
In 2017, director Christopher Nolan delivered his film about Dunkirk, which was coincidentally also called Dunkirk, and it featured a selection of vignettes following different characters trying to get back home. It's exciting, visceral, and has the emotional range of a damp sponge soaked in dog urine. Dunkirk starts off with an English tourist caught short trying to shit in the streets of a seaside French town. When unseen people interrupt his dookie by shooting at him, he then tries to continue his bowel movement on a French beach, where he sees another English soldier bearing something else. The 2 soldiers try to get home any way they can, but keep ending up back on the beach on Dunkirk, like Groundhog Day, except it's nothing like Groundhog Day, so I don't know why I said that. They come across some douchebag from One Direction who must be typecast since he's a douchebag in this as well. These aren't heroes, but scared kids, and the scenes featuring them are really survival stories of people who will do anything to get home, which is weird because they're going to get sent straight back to the front line. Another storyline features Mark Rylance as Mr. Dawson, who sails his pleasure yacht across the channel as part of Operation Dynamo, along with his son and their deckhand.
You do know where we're going? France.
Into war, George!
I'll be useful, sir.
Dawson is level-headed and fixed on his task, which is to get the soldiers home, even when he's faced with an aggressive, shell-shocked soldier who kills their deckhand. Thank God. And now we see all these simple vignettes aren't in chronological order, so the film seems more complicated than it is. Working out the order of the vignettes is about the only thing the film asks of the viewer, and it's not a task that's in any way engaging or rewarding, like, vacuuming under the fridge. There's Commander Historical Context, who stands on a dock known as a mole, explaining what's happening on a wider scale. It's Kenneth Branagh, so it has extra gravitas, but thanks to Commander Historical Context, we know what's what and what's not. Ken Branagh only ever appears on the mole, so we don't know where he's getting all his information from. There's no phone or radio, so maybe he gets his info from some obsolete technology, like a telex, or fax, or Facebook.
You can practically see it from here. What? Home.
We don't know who the enemy is. Outside of the film, of course, we know that the troops on the beach were being surrounded by the invading German army. But if you had no idea of the history behind Dunkirk, you would not know if the enemies were Vikings, pirates, or Martians. There are almost no references to Germans or Germany in the entire film. Only the enemy.
That really hurts, Chris.
When we do see 2 German soldiers, they are blurred out so much that no one can make out the silhouette of a Wehrmacht uniform. It's like if you remade Back to the Future but were too scared to show the DeLorean since the time machine might detract from the 50s incest comedy storyline. The only German involved in this film seemingly is Hans Zimmer, who uses the theme to 60 Minutes to great effect. Listening to the soundtrack on its own is like being an insomniac awake at 3 AM being deafened by a ticking clock. Of course, the main reason to watch the film is RAF pilot Ferrier, who's played by Tom Hardy. He spends a lot of the film filling in his tax logbook and stalks an enemy plane. A plane we of course only see in a way that does not in any way identify the country of origin. The pilot is the film's true hero, but he's also not in it very much. The film looks amazing. The action scenes are brilliantly executed, and even though it's made as a PG-13 film, it's quite horrific in places, even without the blood and gore. Sound design and cinematography are some of the best you'll see in this type of film. Sound mixing, basically how loud sounds are in relation to each other, something that's often criticised in a Nolan film when viewed in a theatre.
For the French.
There's not all that much dialogue compared to, say, an episode of Gilmore Girls. But where Dunkirk really goes tits up is whenever the film wants to show smaller, intimate moments with the mainly obnoxious kid soldiers. I was hoping for the Martians to nuke these brats. This isn't Band of Brothers where everyone's got each other's backs. This is Lord of the Flies, but in a beached boat in France. I was about as invested in these kids' survival as a stink bug in Sumatra cares whether axe or lynx is worse. I find that with Christopher Nolan movies, I either really enjoy them or dislike them. Dunkirk, while it's got many great things about it, has to fall into the dislike category. It's an interesting film, well made, but that's damning it with faint praise. Like saying how the lack of legroom in economy class on a plane is good for your posture. Dunkirk falls down because you often don't care about most of the characters. They all pine for home, but we don't know why because nobody talks about themselves. When we see scared soldiers hiding in a boat arguing with each other, we don't have anything to compare that with. Are they just assholes the whole time or just under pressure? Sometimes even the best filmmakers make something that, while very good in some ways, is just lacking because it's trying to be a bunch of different things that don't work. Christopher Nolan films are often layered with different elements that blend together to make something special, like lasagna. Dunkirk doesn't have that to the same extent, so if Dunkirk was lasagna, it's basically just a plate of mince. The film ends with Tommy and the guy from One Direction getting back to Britain and reading Churchill's famous speech in the paper.
We shall defend our island whatever the cost may be.
Tom Hardy's run out of fuel and landed on the beach and is captured by blurry people, possibly Klingons, and command a historical context.
I'm staying. For the French.
Was later shot by the French police for not having a valid EU passport. Dunkirk is a rollercoaster ride of, whoa, that was amazing, and dude, come back to Tom Hardy already. It's not a Tom Hardy film, but he's clearly the best bit of it. He's also intelligible in this, so even while wearing a mask. Maybe I just like Inception so much that every other Nolan film feels underwhelming. Or maybe it's Dunkirk that's underwhelming. Like a bad date that still expects you to pay for their movie ticket even after they just told you they got bought out by Microsoft. Dunkirk isn't a long film at 1 hour 46 minutes, but it's Microsoft minutes, so who knows how long that really is. Dunkirk is the type of film that has no peer. No other film is like Dunkirk. And that's perhaps a good thing, but not for Dunkirk.
Understood.
So that's the movie. We're done, Kirk. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, leave a comment below, or check out some of our other videos.